Good morning, everybody. For this lesson about misplaced modifiers, I thought I would give you a different view of things instead of my bedroom or outside. This is my dining room in my kitchen area. Ignore the mess, please. Hope y'all having a good Monday morning. Probably not watching this till Friday, so hopefully you're having a good Friday morning. Yay! So today I want you to turn in your grammar books to page 151, 151. And we could do a lesson on misplaced modifiers. Now, I know you're wondering, why aren't we doing lesson 150, page 150? Because I'm not making you do diagramming adjective clauses. It's a little too difficult to do via video chat. I'd rather do that when we're in the classroom. So we're just going to skip that for this year. When we come back, Lord willing, when we come back, we're not going to go back to it. So we'll just cover that next year in the next grammar class. So, like I said, we're on page 151, and we're going to do misplaced modifiers. Now, these are fun, because when they're misplaced, they're a little silly. They sound funny, so you should be able to hear these. So first, let's go over the rules, and I have some examples on my lovely board right here. Okay, so here we go. That's the page we're on. So let's look at these rules. Number 1, make sure to place your adjective modifiers. Remember, whenever you hear the word modifier, that means the description word. So make sure to place those so that they sensibly modify their noun or pronoun that you intend. That means that they modify the noun that makes sense, that you want it to describe. Okay, so let's look at these examples. They give you 3 different examples, and they're going to move the phrase from Australia each time. And you can notice how the meaning of the sentence changes. So the first one reads, the representative from Australia showed a film about kangaroos. So what word is from Australia describing or modifying in this sentence? That's right, it is representative. So what this phrase is saying is that this representative is from Australia. So when this phrase is placed right after the noun, this noun representative, that phrase is describing that noun. You see how they're connected? Okay, let's look at the second sentence. The representative showed a film from Australia about kangaroos. Now the phrase has moved from after representative to after the word film. So now what word is from Australia describing in this sentence? That is correct. It is the word film. So what is this from Australia saying about the word film? That the movie, the film, is from Australia. Very good. Let's look at the third example. The representative showed a film about kangaroos from Australia. Now, instead of describing representative or film, it's describing what word? Kangaroos. So what is it saying about the kangaroos? That they are from Australia. So notice every time this phrase is moved, it's describing a different noun. Right here is describing representative. Here is describing film. Right here is describing kangaroos. So keep that in mind when you're doing your adjectives or your adjective phrases. They always describe the word they come after. So let's look at rule number 2. Adjective phrases and adjective clauses should come immediately after the words they modify. Underline that in your book if you are allowed to, or highlight it. Immediately after the words they describe. So let's look at some silly examples to tell you why. Let's look at that first one. The hunter shot the deer with the red hat. Okay, do deers wear red hats? No? Well, that's what that sentence is saying, right? It's saying the deer with the red hat. What word do you think with the red hat is trying to describe? Right, hopefully you said hunter, so it should read the hunter in your second example. The hunter with the red hat shot the deer. Does that make a lot more sense? Yes. Now, little hunting tip for you. You probably don't want to wear a red hat when you're hunting, or they're going to find you. But that's beside the point. Okay, let's look at this second example. The postman delivered a package to my neighbor that weighed only 12 ounces. Now, is it possible for any of your neighbors to only weigh 12 ounces? Your neighbors who would be receiving a package. No, it is not possible. So that phrase is in the wrong place, because right here in this sentence, that phrase is modifying the word neighbor. What words should that come after? Okay, if you said package, you're exactly right. The postman delivered a package that weighed only 12 ounces to my neighbor. So you got to make sure that your adjective clauses and your adjective phrases, those descriptive words, come immediately after the words they are modifying or describing. Now, number 3, we've just done participial phrases and we just diagrammed those. So if you don't remember participial phrases, those verbs that are acting as adjectives, go back, pause this video, go back in your book a couple pages, I believe to page 149, and that will refresh your memory what participles are. But these phrases, these verbs that are acting as adjectives, come immediately after the words they describe, or, okay, circle that or right there, or they may be at the beginning of the sentence. So if it comes at the beginning of a sentence, it must describe the subject that follows it. Otherwise, we'll have what we call a dangling participle. Okay, so I'll show you what that means in a few minutes. Let's look at this first example. I can see the neighbor's travel trailer looking through my window. Now, hopefully, you already caught the silliness of that sentence. Is the travel trailer looking through the window? No, it is not looking through the window. Hopefully you see the silliness in the fact that a travel trailer cannot look through your window. So where could I put this phrase, looking through my window? That's right, we would put it at the beginning because it's supposed to be describing the word I, because I am spying on my neighbor's looking at my neighbor's travel trailer. Looking through my window, comma, I can see my neighbor's travel trailer. Anytime you have an introductory phrase, like this one, introductory participial phrase, looking through my window, you put a comma after it. You notice the ing. That's the other way I know that that's a participial phrase. Your present participles always end in ing. Right there's spinning also. Okay, let's look at this one. Spinning out on the last turn, the car race was lost. Okay, what word is that describing? Okay, wait, we don't know. That's what makes it dangling. That's what it means by. Otherwise, the sentence will have a dangling participle because it's not modifying the subject. It's not describing the subject. Okay, the race, the subject of this sentence right here, the car race was lost. The race is not spinning out on the last turn. So this has no word to describe, so that's why it's a dangling participle. Okay, now let's look at the correction of it. Spinning out on the last turn, the favored driver lost the car race. Okay, now we still have our phrase, spinning out on the last turn. But now, what word is it describing? That's right, driver. Can this phrase describe driver? Can a car race driver spin out on the last turn? Yes, they can. I've watched a couple of NASCAR races, so it is possible. Okay, not only that, but it makes sense in this sentence that spinning out on the last turn, a driver would lose the car race because of that. So just as a reminder, your participial phrases, those verbs acting as adjectives, have to come immediately after the words they describe, or at the beginning of the sentence, and only at the beginning of the sentence if they are describing your subject. Otherwise, it's a dangling participle. Okay, let's look at rule number 4, and then we're going to look at my examples on my board, and we'll get y'all started. Okay, so non-essential adjective clauses and non-essential participial phrases should be set off by commas. What it means by non-essential is that the sentence is still complete without it. So it doesn't have to be there for the sentence to be complete. So let's look at this sentence. Jeffrey Brown, who is now a graduate student, enjoys doing research. Could I say Jeffrey Brown enjoys doing research and it still be a completely fine sentence that makes complete sense? Yes, it would be fine, okay? So that would be non-essential. We don't have to have that in there for the sentence, so you set that off by commas. Let's look at the second example. No one who rejects Christ will go to heaven. So the phrase, who rejects Christ, is in italics. So let's read that sentence without that phrase and see if it makes sense. No one will go to heaven. Oh. So is who rejects Christ an essential phrase? Yes, it is very essential, because without that phrase, there's a lot of despair. So we have to have that in there for that sentence to make complete sense. So no one who rejects Christ will go to heaven. So 100% true, but if we take that phrase out, the sentence is not complete. You lose the essential meaning of the sentence. Okay, so here we go. Let's look at this third example. Treasure Island, written by Robert Louis Stevenson, is a very popular book. Now, let's read it without that phrase and see if it makes sense. Treasure Island is a very popular book. Is that a non-essential phrase? Yes, because Treasure Island is a super popular book. We don't need to know who wrote it in order to know that it's very popular. That's just additional information that does not have to be there. So that's why it's set off by those 2 commas right there. Okay, now look at this 4th example. The book written by Robert Louis Stevenson is a very popular book. Okay, so it's very similar to your 3rd example, except in this one, it took the title out of there and then left his name. So because the title is not there, is this now a required phrase written by Robert Louis Stevenson? Yes, we have to have that in there now that we don't have the title of the book. So the book written by Robert Louis Stevenson is a very popular book, so that has to be there, so you do not set that off by commas. So this could get a little confusing, so let me reiterate what's going on here. Because the title is in this sentence, this is non-essential. You are fine, Samson. Because the title is not in this sentence, we need to, I'm sorry, that was really loud. Because the title is not in this sentence, we need to know who wrote it to know who you're talking about, because there are a lot of popular books out there. So that's why this is essential and thus not set off by commas. And the other essential phrase, who rejects Christ, that is also not set off by commas. So I'm going to show you how we correct this, because in your exercise you're going to have to draw arrows. So let's look up here. I got to have my markers ready. Oh, okay. So what I'm going to do for each one of these is I'm going to circle the phrase that is misplaced, and then I'm going to draw an arrow to where it goes so you know how to do it on your exercise. So let's look at number 1. A popular destination for cruise ships, tourists flock to Key West, Florida. So what's the wrong phrase here? Okay, if you said a popular destination for cruise ships, you are correct. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle it. Hold on just a second. Okay, so notice I circled it, popular destination for cruise ships. Where should this phrase go? Should it be describing the word tourist? Should it be describing that word? No, what word is it describing? It's describing Key West, Florida. So where should we put it? At the end of the sentence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw an arrow all the way right there. Okay, so I kind of lost mark right there. There we go. Okay, so the sentence should read, a popular destination, the sentence should read, let's try that again. Tourists flock to Key West, Florida, a popular destination for cruise ships. Not right now, though, but usually it is. So you see how I corrected that? I moved it from the beginning of the sentence. All the way to the end of the sentence. Okay, let's look at the 2nd example. I saw 3 bears on the way to class. Now, that's a common mistake we make, right? So you may not hear it right away. But what do you think that sentence is trying to say? Or it's saying without meaning to? Right, it's saying that 3 bears are on the way to class. So what is the misplaced participial, what's the misplaced phrase, adjective phrase going on here? That's right, it's on the way to class. So I'm going to circle that. So I circled on the way to class. Where should that be? What words should it be describing? Who else in the sentence should be going to class? I. So where do I put it? At the beginning of the sentence. So I'm going to draw my arrow right there. Now, I'm not rewriting my sentences right now. Okay, I'm not making you rewrite these in this exercise. I'm just drawing my arrows and showing where they go. After you do that, if you want to read out loud to make sure it makes sense, like for number 1, tourists flock to Key West, Florida, a popular destination for cruise ships, so that's good. And number 2, on the way to class, I saw 3 bears. That's also good. Okay, let's look at this 3rd example. Okay. She nearly combed her hair for 3 minutes every night. So, what's the weird word in that sentence? That's right, the word nearly. Can you nearly comb your hair? Girls, can we nearly comb our hair? No, we either comb your hair or you don't, right? Okay? So, the word nearly needs to be moved. Where could I put it? She nearly combed her hair for 3 minutes every night. Where would it make more sense to say the word nearly in that sentence? Okay, good. If you said right before 3 minutes, that's right. So she combed her hair for nearly 3 minutes every night. So I'm going to circle nearly, and then draw an arrow to right there. So let's read that to make sure it makes sense. She combed her hair for nearly 3 minutes every night. Does that make more sense? Yes. Very good. And this also, I'm going to pause this and tell you this lesson is very important for your writing too. Because in writing, a lot of people like to put their adjectives in the wrong places. So always double, triple check your writing to make sure that your adjectives, your adjective phrases, your adjective clauses are describing the words. They're coming right before the words. I don't know why I paused on that. They're coming right before or right after the words they are describing. Okay, let's look at that fourth one. He threw the ball to the girl made of orange rubber. Hopefully you caught it pretty much right away. Is the girl made of orange rubber? No, that would be weird. Okay, so what word should orange rubber be describing? Sorry, made of orange rubber be describing? That's right, ball. So hold on just a second. Okay, so that's what that one should look like. I drew a circle made of orange rubber and put the arrow right after the word ball. So it should read, he threw the ball made of orange rubber to the girl. Okay, our last example. They watched the sunset sitting on the porch. Okay, is the sunset actually sitting on the porch? No, it's not. So what phrase is the misplaced phrase in the sentence? That's right, it's sitting on the porch. So you're going to circle that phrase. And what do you think, what other word do you think it's describing? So while you think on that, let me circle the phrase. Okay, so where does it go? All right, if you said right before the word they, because they are the only other words they could be describing, you're right, so I'm going to put at the beginning of that sentence. So it should read, sitting on the porch, they watched the sunset. Okay, so you see all I did was circle the misplaced phrase and drew an arrow to where it goes. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go look at your book. I'm going to explain what you're going to do, not show you the answers, and then I'm going to show you number 1, just so you can understand what's going on. So the following sentences, exercise A, 151. The following sentences contain misplaced adjective phrases or clauses. You're going to circle each misplaced modifier and draw an arrow to the place where it should be. So let's look at number 1. Hanging on a hook in the closet, Jackson found his hat. So is Jackson hanging on a hook in the closet? No. So we circled hanging on a hook in the closet, and you drew an arrow to after the word hat. So it should read, Jackson found his hat hanging on a hook in the closet. So there's number 1. Okay, now we're going to do number 2, and then you're going to do the rest of them by yourself. The small girl went to see the doctor with the broken arm. Now, hopefully, the doctor is not the one with the broken arm. So who was the one with the broken arm? The girl, right. So it should read, small girl with the broken arm went to see the doctor. So you circled the phrase with the broken arm and drew an arrow to right after girl. And that's what your number 2 should look like. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a message on Google Classroom or email me and let me know. As soon as you finish the phrase, just turn it in on, as soon as you finish the assignment, just turn it in to me on Google Classroom and I will grade it as soon as I can and get my comments back to you guys. I miss you. I hope to see y'all soon. Hope y'all having a good time with your family and staying healthy. I'm praying for y'all every day. Bye-bye.